Hey, you want it? I got it. Let's talk about it. Coming to you raw and uncut. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. And please don't forget to hit that like button. All right. Raw tonight. Man, was a mess. Was a mess. I mean, we keep getting the same old, same old. And like I've been saying on my videos, it's just like hitting the rewind button. You already know what to expect. Okay, this Raw. I mean, I don't know. The creative writing team. I mean, it's getting bad. I mean, Triple H is really, really destroying what we have left of WWE. I mean, years ago when Vince had it, I mean, it was a good program. We got good wrestling. It was just like if you saw a Raw or a SmackDown and everything that was leading up to the PLE, then pay per view, you know, um, you were watching it because it was always a cliffhanger and you wanted to see the end and you couldn't just wait. Now it's more of a money thing, and they're robbing everybody with this because the ticket prices are ridiculous. You know, I mean, just for some of these pay per views or how much you're paying, for the to sit on the floor, front row, anything. We're talking about not 5,000, 10,000. We're talking about $20,000 for all that. And then now you're raising the price for everybody to go see. The PLE is now on ESPN, which is $30, unless you found a way of defining it getting it cheap and stuff. And I did put a video out there on how I got it cheap, you know. So if you want to look for that, it's out there and stuff. But anyway, also I put a new logo up, and let me know how you think about the logos and stuff. So now let's get into Raw because Triple H is giving me a headache with this writing and zero storylines. Okay, we got Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins doing their promo and stuff, and basically, Seth is saying, he knows that people don't like him, the media doesn't like him, the people in the backstage doesn't like him and everything. And then he asks Cody, what does he think? And then Cody comes back and says, you want to know how I feel about you? And then Cody goes and reminds him of the matches, that they've had, and that there were epic matches and stuff, and they were especially when Cody tore his pec and everything, and he went through Hell in the Cell with that in that match. I mean, if you go back, that's one of the matches I do remember about Seth and Cody Rhodes, and it was a great match. I mean, I give Cody his props for that match. Going through there. If you've never torn your pec, believe you me, it's no field trip. I mean, it is very painful and stuff. And so in there, as Seth is talking all his yankety yank, Cody reminds him of the three matches that they had. Seth has never beaten him and stuff, and he kind of leaves it in that kind of way. And then he's getting ready to leave the ring, and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed with Paul Heyman are out there and stuff, and Cody was trying to leave, and they were kind of like circling the ring, like you know, um, wildcats, trying to hunt for their prey. And then Seth tells him, to step aside, get to the side and let Cody go and stuff. And so, Cody goes on and he leaves and stuff. And then you got Jimmy and Jay, and they're arguing, and Jay's feeling a certain kind of way about LA Knight, and then he's mad at Jimmy because Jimmy is siding with, well, not actually siding with LA Knight, but he tagged with LA Knight against the Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed and stuff, and we all know what the outcome of that was and everything. Same way the outcome came when Jimmy and Jay fought Bronson and Braun Breaker, you know, um, in a match, and it's just the same old, same old. The outcome is the same. Nothing has changed. But anyway, we get the match, a no DQ with the New Day and against the Road Raiders and Penta. And the New Day is with, Grayson Waller. And like I said, the same thing. Just, the same old thing. And the war rate is, I mean, it was a pretty decent match. The match was pretty good. Not gonna say it was a bad match. There was some good stuff. Like when Kobe hit, Penta, jumped from the top rope and puts Penta through a table, and then later on in the match, Penta turns the favor and put Kobe through the table in the corner of the ring and stuff. And then Penta ultimately hits Grayson Waller with the Mexican Destroyer, for the win. 1, 2, 3, and it's over. Then we get Dom asking Finn Balor in the Judgment Day for help, against Rusev, because Rusev has kind of much more or less been bullying Dom. And then, Finn is telling him, go ask his friend, El Grande Americano and stuff, since Dom has been talking to him and kind of been shrugging off the Judgment Day. And so that's kind of more or less what Finn Balor did to Dom. And then Dom goes to JD McDonagh, and McDonagh reminds Dom that he said he didn't need their help. He didn't need the Judgment Day help and stuff and everything. And then Roxanne comes in and said, ask JD McDonagh to, to help him out and stuff. And that would have been cool. But then as JD McDonagh is saying, yeah, I'm going to help you out, and I'll go talk, and he's going to go talk to Adam Pearce. Dom says that, hey, look, I already talked to him. You got the match with Rusev, later on tonight. And the look on JD McDonough's face, I mean, Dom really screwed him and stuff. And then we get, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and Bayley's more or less asking Lyra for help, because she's going up against Roxanne Perez, and you know, Roxanne's going to come out with Raquel Rodriguez, so she wanted Lyra to be out there in the ring, when her match time comes. Then we get another backstage promo with Stephanie Valkyria. You know, she more or less comes out and thanks her dad, thanks everybody. Her English has gotten better, so I know she's been out there doing, practicing, getting better. Her promos are actually really, really, really getting better and stuff. She's a lot advanced more than Julia, Io Sky, all of them, Kyrie and Oscar. I mean, she talks better English in the little time that she's been with the WWE. I mean, it's amazing. I give Stephanie Valkyria her props and congratulate her on her championship. And I hope that her championship run, you know, is gonna be great. And then Adam Pearce told her, that the winner of the match at SmackDown between Jay Cargill, Nia Jax, and Tiffany Stratton, the winner of that will face her in at Crown Jewel in Perth and stuff. So I look forward to seeing that match Friday to see who's going to win that title and stuff. I think Jade might win that title that time because it would be a good match between her and Stephanie Fakir. And then they got this little film thing, talking about Braun Breaker and Lesnar. But let me put this. Let me say this before I go on. ESPN and the rating gave WrestlePalooza a C, as well as I did. I gave him a C minus. So and that's crazy. I mean, if they gave them a C, they know the show was crap. But anyway, so we move on. Then you got a little segment with Oscar, with Rhea. Um, they're going back and forth. Oscar is saying that she's going to be respect into Rhea. Rhea said, "Look, I'll be respect back into you." Io is trying to get them to not have the match and everything, and then Rhea tells Io that, "Hey, look, maybe Oscar and I might be respect, into each other and stuff." So That was crazy because we saw a lot of Rhea, Asuka, and Io tonight in all these little crazy segments. But anyway, we get the match with Bayley versus Roxanne Perez. The match was okay. It was pretty good. It was back and forth and stuff. Not to give it, Roxanne did a pretty good job. Bayley did a pretty good job. Bayley was pretty normal as far as the match was concerned until Raquel Rodriguez got involved, and then Bayley just loses it. Then Bayley the belly on Roxanne Perez. Then she knees Roxanne Perez to the head, and then she plants her with the rose plant and ends the match, and Bayley wins. But Lyra goes into the match, goes into the ring to congratulate Bayley, to give Bayley a hug, and then Bayley just completely flips on her. She flips on her, she pushes her down, and then she tells Lyra to stay out of her business and walks away. And then we got backstage Jimmy and Cody talking, and Jimmy is asking Cody, to go talk some sense into Jay. And then we get Jay and Cody talking, and Cody's trying to calm Jay Uso down. But as Cody is talking to Jay Uso, Jay is actually looking at that belt that Cody has. So, and then then Jay says, "Hey, look, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back better than what I was." So I don't think Jay's getting another title shot. If he does, probably be a mid-title shot, but I don't think he's getting another world title shot at all. And then we get the match with JD McDonagh and Rusev, and you know how that match went. Rusev, basically, destroyed JD McDonagh, but JD McDonagh was putting the fight in too, and I had to say, JD McDonagh is a little scrapping guy. I mean, I remember the match that he had with the War Raiders, and he did that backflip from the rope and then hit his head and shoulders, and broke 3 ribs, blew out his lung, and had neck injury, and he was out for a while. But he can take some punishment and everything. But eventually, the power of Rusev puts him in the Cobra Clutch and everything, and Dom acted like he was going to come in and try to help and everything, but JD had already tapped out. Rusev wouldn't let go of the hold, and then Finn Balor comes in there and excuse me, helps out JD McDonagh. Then he goes to Dom and asks him why he didn't come in and help. And they went back arguing about that. And then we get Io asking Rhea to stop the match, to change it and everything. And then Rhea's telling her no, she's not going to do that. She's going to try to teach Roxanne a lesson and try to beat some respect into her, or either they're going to be respect into each other. Then we have the Jey Uso and LA Knight match. This match was okay. It was pretty good. It was pretty, back and forth and stuff. But then you knew in this match somehow we were going to see Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. And we did. And because we saw them, LA Knight took his attention to them. Jey Uso hits LA Knight with a spear, then a frog splash, and it's over. 1, 2, 3. Jey Uso wins. So we got that. And like I said, it's just the same old, and everything. And then Jimmy comes out and he asks Jay if he's going to help him go down and help LA Knight, who he just beat, because Ron Breaker and Bronson Reed was about ready to jump on him and stuff. And then Jey Uso looks and he says no, and then just walks off. So Jimmy goes to the ring with a chair, jumps into the ring, and then Paul Heyman, tells Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, no, 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 don't get into the ring. We'll do everything on our time. which they're going to have a match against each other, I believe, next week. Jimmy and Jay against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And hopefully the outcome will come different and that the Usos will win because they are an 8-time tag team champion. And there's no reason why they should be losing to Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And I'll leave it at that. And then you got Seth back there holding the watch, that Cody gave him a while back. And Becky's behind him talking all kind of smack, and she's saying about, she's the best, women wrestler, because Sports Illustrated, said that she is, and blah 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 blah. The same thing, Becky's always been saying. Then she said if people don't believe it, she's gonna show, everybody what she thinks, and we never got that. We never got it and stuff. Oh man, like I said, it's this the whole night was crazy. I mean, the whole night was just crazy, and that's why I say Triple H is running WWE into the ground because they have all these long behind segments, so many of them and stuff, and it's just crazy, crazy, crazy. But we did get AJ Styles and Dragon Lee asking Adam Pearce, to wrestle against, Al Grande Americano and one of the other Americanos. And they didn't say which, they didn't care which two they were wrestling. But then we get Asuka and Rhea Ripley. The match was, I mean, it was a pretty good match. I mean, you expect what was going to happen, as far as Oscar and Rhea was concerned and everything. And, Rhea gets the win and stuff. And then, how Oscar is. Oscar hits her with the mist in the eyes and everything. Rhea's rolling around. Then Oscar tells Kairi Sane to attack Rhea. Kairi kind of hesitates, but then all of a sudden she does. She starts beating Rhea down. And then then both of them start putting the boots to Rhea. And then out comes Io Sky, as you would expect. Then Io comes down there. She starts to talk to Asuka and Kairi. And then Asuka ends up hitting Io in the side of the head with a back fist. Io goes down. She hits her with the butt and stuff like that. And then they start, she beats her down. Then she tells Kairi to attack Io. Kairi is a little bit hesitant. And then all of a sudden, she does. And so they put the boots to him and stuff. So, and then that's how it ends. You got Oscar standing over Io, and holding Kyrie, and Kyrie is looking kind of sad, and you know, and stuff like that. And then it goes off. All right, with that, and if you can't tell that WWE is going down the tubes and everything, I don't know what to say to you and stuff. I'll keep watching the shows, try to keep reporting and everything like I do. I'm hoping that the content and everything gets better. I'm hoping and I'm praying that it does. But anyway, with that, thank you for watching. God bless, deuces, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.